Hello, everybody. Welcome to more esports at NC State action. If you watched earlier, I was solo casting the Overwatch match between the Overwatch Red team and Cumberland Phoenix. But today, we have a new treat for you. Finally, we get some League of Legends on the screen, and joining me today is my longtime friend, former treasurer of the club, and current remote worker, Preston. Preston, how are we feeling today?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I'm excited to come back and do some casting and do some washing for it. It's been a while.
Yeah, we're already in draft, so I'm going to cut over to the draft screen right now. Apologies for how ratchet it looks because I had to set this up 30 seconds ago. But immediately we see Fiora banned away from NC State and Fiora banned away from NC State, Rengar banned away from UC Santa Cruz. And we were looking at the OPGGs before. Fiora is Red Feet, the new star of the team in the top lanes, most played champion. He's currently like challenger 930 LP, playing about 80% Fiora. And Rengar is actually the most picked for UC Santa Cruz's jungler. So these two power picks taken away from both teams. Victor about to be taken away from NC State as well, Azir as well. What does this tell you about the draft so far?
Yeah, I mean, there's two things that we talked about a good bit in our pregame warm up and everything for it. If you're of course if you're a challenger top laner in collegiate, you're already going to get targeted, especially when something like Fiora, a heavily favored by one tricks character. You're going to get target man for that, and of course Rengar, another very common one trick character for junglers. So that's typically going to be a big ban. One thing we also talked about is that Fiora being a big Aatrox counter pick, and Aatrox being a popular top laner for the UCSC top laner. So sort of a good little trade of top end picks there. And now we've moved on to a quick Varus pick. I believe that is both a contested pick as well as a just basically a good steal for as both teams ADCs have a good Varus play in the bot lane.
Yeah, it's a really good pick for Celery Thief. It's one of his most played in solo queue and probably a comfort pick for him as well from NC State. We can't see the names of the players right now. We'll show you once we get into the proper game. Smolder hovered, locked in actually by NC State means that scaling is the name of the game for the Wolfpack. And without Aatrox on the board, the top lane becomes a little bit more interesting. I am curious to see what Red Feet is going to lock in. Rakan is also locked in for NC State. A pretty interesting lane, not one that you see super commonly, but Engage going to be super, super important in these team fights.
And not uncommon, but still one that's fairly synergistic. I mean, Rakan being both great engage as well as pretty good disengage. You can get a quick knock up with the W, and then with his E escape back to your ADC that's positioned a little further back. As well, Smolder early pick, can be punishable, but also at the same time, when you think about it, at large Smolder historically can be a flex pick. Can be thrust into the mid or top lane depending on matchup if it's something you feel you can easily abuse. So overall, a good early pick there, especially if they're leaning into the option there of a flex. Otherwise, I'd be a little worried, especially, picking such an aggressive early lane combo of Karma Varus has a lot of poke. There's not really a bunch of sustain other than the Rakan heal being able to save and probably fleet footwork on the Smolder. However, after that, you have a Xin Zhao, a very aggressive early ganking jungler that's probably going to come in around level 3 if he can top to bot, take bot scuttle.
Yeah.
So that'd be something that I'd look out for the Smolder Rakan bot lane.
Xin Zhao been such a contested pick in pro play as well. He's very straightforward to play, allows you to fight early really well, and will allow for some of these jungle invades to come in. Wukong locked in for NC State as well. It means that they're going to have even more engage. This Rakan Wukong 2-3 pick I really, really like from NC State. It makes their team fight so threatening, so dangerous. And Wukong, pretty strong in the early game as well, will hopefully allow this Smolder to scale up into the late game. But the bans, Akali hovered over for NC State, possibly a target ban against UC Santa Cruz's mid laner. The Slugs Gaming not getting to play any ninjas today. Maybe a Zed comes out later on, but I kind of doubt it. It hasn't been played anywhere other than the jungle. Oriana ban hovered by Santa Cruz as well, trying to prevent any more of that ridiculous team fighting opportunity. Victor is Annalise's most played champion as well as NC State's mid laner. So a lot of bans are being dumped into the mid lane. Yone gone as well. Azir gone as well. It means the mid lane champ was very, very pinched today.
And that's something that I feel like we can expect especially now seeing, like you said, Orianna ban, as Orianna is such a common combo with things like Wukong and Rakan, because it's basically you slap a ball on them, they go in, and it's just a free big shockwave that you can get dropped on it. So I'd expect, a second ban, if they're going to keep up with something like this, could be something like a Galio to follow up with a continued just big team fight ultimate, anything like that, because that's another great follow up with Engage. The Mbessa ban being another, I mean, not exactly similar in playstyle, but a lot of the time similar in pattern and how you want to execute it with a game. Two carries like Fiora or Aatrox. So kind of like a sort of continued coverage ban. And then a Garen ban followed up, sort of hinting possibly a Cassante target for the top laner, as I know that's a common sort of niche counter pick there. But definitely interesting. They're still leaving up engage options like Galio, however, a little less strong into a comp so far, not involving much AP. But we'll have to wait and see what sort of pans out from there.
Yeah, Red Feet, a lot of games on Fiora, a lot of games on Fiora. So it's a question to see what other champions he's going to be able to pull out. Rise locked in for NC State again. The team fighting continuing to build for the Wolf Pack as the Realm Warp, such a huge tool to be able to get around. Hui Cassante fast locks in for Santa Cruz. As you were right on the money with the Cassante pick.
Yeah, I mean, a Garen ban is a little specific. That's not at large a counter that people are looking out for unless you're trying to play Cassante. However, Olaf is another very similar option. The main counterpoint being, Garen's ult being true damage as an execute, Olaf's E being true damage, be able to add through it, sort of bully in lane, try to keep the Cassante force down, because Cassante, of course, can be a very strong champion. Overall, grander scheme of the lane, it looks like NC State going for a pretty heavy scaling comp, hoping for the Rise and Smolder to get time to stabilize, get 2-3 items, and really be team fight powerhouses, while the Olaf can kind of hold it down himself in the top lane. Followed on the other side with what is a very, very heavy poke composition. When you see Wave RS Karma, you really expect for just continuous poking around neutral objectives like Dragon, Rift Herald, everything like that. So I'd be curious to see, because that can be a little difficult to execute, especially once Smolder gets something like a Bloodthirster. Olaf starts to be able to auto. He has passive healing as well, and tends to buy Ravenous Hydra, things like that. So I'm curious to see how that'll work out for UCSC overall.
Yeah, a lot of pressure going to be on the jungle support from NC State here. The engage onto this poke comp is going to be the name of the game. Their win condition is going to be team fighting and finding the angles to take out this Varus and this Hui, who are going to be extreme damage threats throughout the mid and the late game. But NC State, a lot to figure out about this draft.
Yeah, no, I mean, sort of this is all in for NC State on those team fighting stages. You don't have much early lane priority via the Riser Smolder like we talked about. Olaf can keep some pressure topside. However, of course, when it comes to early objectives, really all you have to look out for is that Rift Grub spawn time and that Rift Herald spawn time. So unless you can fight around those with the Olaf pressure and a Realm Warp up, you've already basically lost a lot of lane priority in the bot lane. Wei, of course, can get a push on Rise very easily with his both W and Q combos, being able to full clear wave post, I believe, around the level 8, level 9 mark. So after that, he can sort of just roam to sort of match the Rise map pressure that's allowed with the Rise ult.
Yeah, team fights. Name of the game for NC State. We're waiting on spectator delay right now, so we're going to go to a quick BRB while we get the game set up, and once we get in, we will be back ready to start out with the lane phase. Don't go anywhere. Go grab your popcorn. Go grab your water. We're going to be right back.
Cigarette ash that I hated you for. Back of a cab that we could barely afford. I call it quits and then I'll call you in the morning. You call me baby cause my actual name is boring. I think your boyfriend might be onto us, he's calling. Just let it ring 3 times and check it in the morning. Oh, girl, you can meet me in the parking lot. We can sit around and wait for the sky to drop. I've never met someone who likes to talk like you. Oh, confessing while we're half asleep, I felt you at the kiss away across my cheek. And then I'll pretend that you never gave me feelings. Hope you all forget about me. Okay. Life knows me all the same. I don't have weights in my pockets. It's just my legs. And some days I think I've lost it, and other days I feel just okay. I do it under the guise of self-improvement, like I'm moving in a better direction than I was before. Cause these days going backwards feels better than not moving at all. I'll tell you that I'm tired of myself. I'm tired of this feeling that I'm always fucking feeling, cause I just won't let it go. Every time I'm in the deep end, I let the water in my lungs drown me from the inside out. Cause I won't let it leave me till I'm fucked up in the head. I wake up somewhere else instead of being in your way. But girls will stay for a week before they find the body. I hope you all forget about me. They'll say
Welcome back, everyone. GLHFs have been typed in the chat. We get to finally watch some League of Legends here at NC State. I'm so excited to see it happen. Flash Ghost taken by Red Feet to affect these team fights a lot. What can you tell me about that, Preston?
Yeah, so Flash Ghost with the Olaf is commonly taken initially. You can get an easy rundown in a long lane like top lane. As long as you can keep autumn post 6 with the Olaf ult, you can a lot of times outspeed and chase anybody down. And then it sort of follows a lot better than the Ignite in lane to, the team fight stage where you've got these immobile carries like Quay and Varus, where, when you pop Ragnarok and everything with Olaf, you're completely unstoppable. You can pop Ghost on top of it. And it's just a big move speed boost, especially if he's taken anything like Celerity or anything. Just to get a huge boost and basically, Nitro run down this very immobile carry for CECC, who, at least teamfight-wise, is going to be a major proponent for this damage output.
Yeah, a lot of pressure going to be on Serpent Shadow. He's probably not going to have a fun time in this game with the immobile carry Varus and just the Olaf running on top of you, Wukong engaging on you as well, Rakan W. That flash is going to be very important, and Let Try Again is probably going to be looking for that in particular. Chef Oreo, a little bit of pressure at the start of this round, and a bit of a scuffle in the top lane as well. Red Feet, Olaf on level 1, so strong, and will likely set the tone for this lane.
Yeah, obviously, as a very, very aggressive lane, I mean, you're gonna, in the end, want to kind of hold off this K'Sante. K'Sante is a very, late game focused tank, because obviously once you go all out and everything, you're a very split damage focus and ability to tank sort of disruptor. But as long as you can keep him down, keep him low on gold, you can keep him off multiple items, sort of try to snowball the momentum that Olaf kind of has naturally.
Yeah, aggressive from Annalise as well. They're going to be able to take a lot of favorable trades against this Hui, who just struggles a little bit in the early game, but the same thing is going to be happening for Celery Thief. What can you do against this Karma Varus lane early on can be so oppressive. You get so much poke damage with the Mantra Q and with the Piercing Arrow as well. It's got to be difficult for the Smolder to make anything happen. Already a CS lead, a pretty significant one for Serpent Shadow on the start of this game.
Yeah, and Smolder getting pretty outranged across the board in both, matchup versus Karma, matchup versus Varus. So anytime that he walks up to grab any CS, grab any stack, you can kind of get a trade back and make him lose a little bit of it, HP and just sort of whittle him out of it. That's what you're going to have to expect here, because until we can hit 6 or anything like that, and bot lane get some jungle assistance to try to get a 3v2 generated for NC State side, there probably won't be much action happening down there other than some minor trades.
Yeah, still favorable trades for this Rise. Analyze. I don't know if it's Annalise or Analyze. I'm going to go with Annalise for now because I think it sounds better. But look at these trades. This Hui just not allowed to play the game whatsoever. And Keon will be worse for wear throughout this lane. And already a CS lead starting to grow in the top lane. Red Feet, the most recent newcomer to this team. He's probably the shining star, the highest ranked player far and away in the game. Sitting at about 930 LP in Challenger right now. He is likely going to be the linchpin in a lot of these team fights, and if he's able to dominate his lane, he might be able to snowball his way into just a full carry performance on this Olaf. Celery Thief might not even have to do anything this game if Red Feet manages to get far enough ahead.
Yeah, and you sort of saw this target in the draft for UCSC with the Fiora ban early, followed by the Garen ban later, to try to put your K'Sante in a beneficial position against what I believe many would target to say that the best player on NC State's team, especially, just objectively going by rank. So after that, you're just trying to generate that advantage where you can, or just sort of take away advantages where you can. Where, if you've got sort of a player skill gap or anything, you want to be able to mitigate that by getting your lower, lower elo player in a better lane matchup.
Lower elo.
Lower elo in air quotes. I will say also for in between stream, I currently cannot see the game.
Oh, that would make a lot of sense. I need to do that for you. Now that my color caster can hopefully see the game,
That's fine. I was visualizing the game in my mind,
All you need, you know what? We had a great start to the game, and now Red Feet taking a trade onto Scruffy. It's going to be good. He's going to pop the Ghost and get the Flash burned as well. That's super plus for the Olaf.
That's something that they're going to want to hold on to as an advantage. I mean, you see the jungler pulling up to kind of hold for any possible dive. You know, utilize the vision here, try to get to where you can get a sneaky thing when Red Feet goes for next trade. But one thing to keep in mind when they go for these trades, I mean, Red Feet's going to pop Ghost to try to get Scruffy to flash. Ghost has a much lower cooldown and everything, so as soon as you can get it back up, you can just kind of send it on something. But it seems like we've got a gank going here.
Yeah, Slider was in the lane to try to make this, to try to mitigate this aggression that Red Feet has had, but all he's going to do is burn the flash. It is an important flash, so the Olaf will be a little bit more vulnerable in order for later in the game for Slider to try to make things happen. But Analyze still looking for these trades in mid, a pretty significant lead in the CS department if we see the HUD, but no big deal.
This is something that we're gonna be looking forward to, you know, keeping. But we've got another gank going here, but it should be able to get out just fine, seeing as Casante's W being fully unstoppable, unless they go for the full dive here. But you know, this early dive, especially into Casante, who has the base tank stats and everything, can be a little difficult. And you see now, sort of, yeah, a bit of a few rotations that got gapped out on where, you know, bot on NC State is sort of getting harassed. You see about an 18 CS lead there. Going for UCSC, and solid rise for them, but it seems like we may have a kill going down.
Oh my god, just a solo kill. Slider's there to try to make it a 1-for-1, but Analyze just continuing the great trades. Scruffy won't even get to cancel the back onto Red Feet, and that's very, very strong start for this Rise, who I wasn't expecting to be able to be that strong that early, but the CS lead, the solo kill, this Rise is going to become a problem very quickly.
Yeah, and Rise especially, at least in this lane, is going to look to get into these long extended trades. Of course, Rise getting to play off multiple ability combos, seeing as his E and W can reset his Q. Where he sort of dumps everything into his first batch of skill shots to slowly whittle your Hoki out of the lane. But, you know, like we saw just there, in any extended trade where Rise can get multiple Qs off, you can sort of get that kill pressure.
Engage here for Pessoa, but it won't lead to anything else. Pessoa, one of the longest standing members of this team, by the way. He is currently coaching and playing for the NC State team. He's been at NC State for many years. He's currently a grad student. As a fight breaks out, Serpent Shadow takes a lot of damage. Celery Thief will be allowed to keep his life. But a pretty decent trade. It kind of prevents a dive a little bit, but Analyze coming down to try to make this happen on a Serpent Shadow. So low, one auto away. Pessoa will use W forward. Let's try again as well here to support the play. And that's a very, very strong start for NC State. Wukong, no kill participation just yet, but the Rise, 100% kill participation and a kill on the Smolder is very, very important to accelerating this late game Smolder's ramp up.
And this is what we talked about at the start here, you know. They're not going to win any 2v2s by any means because they're outranged. They're going to slowly get whittled out. But as soon as we can get that numbers advantage generated, you know, Rise ulting in behind, Wukong getting, you know, W invisibility just to pop in out of nowhere, and you can get these little kills like that because Smolder does have some damage to put out early game. However, he does need that numbers advantage for the others. And we see sort of playing for the brush here around the Dragon because we don't want to give away for free. However, Smolder's just taking a reset, so this will be a 4v3 as soon as Forrest makes his way up. But you do see a TP there on the right side.
Yeah, it looks like NC State not wanting to contest the Dragon, or at least not trying to engage on it. I would have liked to see Analyze go for a little bit more. Slider could catch out one player here. Pessoa in the brush, could be caught out. And there's an engage down in the bot lane as well. Slider in a good spot to try to make something happen. Celery Thief, Analyze coming over as well. Ooh, this Karma is in a very bad spot. First kill going neither way. It'll finally be Chef Oreo going down. Heat of Warfare claimed by NC State. Keon will take down Pessoa. Great kill for the play. That's going to be important for him to come back into this game. But let's try again. Gonna get another one. A triple kill for the Rise. Analyze is going to continue to make this happen. Celery Thief is here to support as well. Will NC State be able to get another kill over here and maybe hand it over to the Smolder? Yes, they will. Celery Thief, 2 kills on the game now. And NC State looking very, very strong.
And a huge swing there as well in the gold. I mean, that's a 1.5k gold increase this early in the game. You saw Rise, of course, get a triple kill. Smolder get a second one to add on. You know, they can hit these at least first item power spikes because the sooner that Rise gets that Route of Ages, the sooner that he gets to fully stack it, buff up a level, and make the XP differential even worse. And I mean, like we said, these are the 2 main late game powerhouse carries for this team fight.
Yeah, the gold lead almost.
You see them getting accelerated. It spells death. It spells doom for UCSC, but we do see a kill going down.
Ooh, Celery forced to pop the Mom to try to get out. No flash as well on this Smolder. Shutdown given to Serpent Shadow. Just a little bit of an overstep. Pessoa not there to support his AD carry. But NC State still strong gold lead. And most of that gold lead, like I said, is on this Rise. So Analyze Rally, I think, is going to be the linchpin for NC State. Going to be the focal point of a lot of these fights. Red Feet still with a solid lane. Not super ahead by any means, but with the Tiamat already, with the Phage already, they should be able to push out a lot of these lanes and roam at some point very soon. Ghost should come back online pretty quickly. Analyze going for the engage. Pessoa there as well to support. Chef Oreo very low, knocked up, and will get taken down by the Rise. Another shield. Serpent Shadow will be forced to flash away. Analyze getting another one. Slider is there to try to contest, but the Realm Warp will get Analyze out, and that's a beautiful play by the NC State mid laner. Keon is there to try to support. He'll take down Pessoa most likely. Taken very low. Analyze will not be able to kill Xin Zhao as well. Pessoa actually, finally goes down to Keon. That's another kill for the Santa Cruz mid laner, but still 6-0-2 for this Rise. He is going to become a major problem in this game.
Not a bad character here for them to have that high on gold and everything, as he's a lot safer. But we do have another scuffle where it looks like Red Feet should be able to escape with the Ghost. However, the Xante is hitting everything in a chain, but he barely escapes. Skin of his teeth.
Doesn't want to go for the dive. All out popped by Scruffy.
We've got a kill in the mid lane.
Will not get a kill.
Yeah, kill in the mid lane, I assume based off timers and everything, that was just a quick Varusol snipe for Karma walking up. As, when Karma uses her shield and everything, she can sort of outspeed and match the little bit of escapability that Smolder has with his speed up. As soon as you get 2 snares chained in a row, you can get Varus burst out twice, because you do see lethality Varus coming through to follow up with this poke comp like we talked about. You can get a lot of burst going there, especially on squishy targets like this Smolder.
Yeah, but the big boon for NC State is that Rise is going to be very tanky. Pessoa popping the quickness to engage, while Analyze comes in for the reinforce. Let's try again. Pops the Wukong ultimate as well. Cyclone taking down the Karma. Really nicely done by NC State to turn a play even after their Smolder died in mid. Really nicely done by them.
Yeah, and I was worried that may be a little bit of an early engage there from Pessoa, because obviously you saw Rise was still a good bit away. Wukong coming in from the top side still a good bit away, but he was able to get the snare in right at the end there for the Rise, followed up by, like we saw, the Cyclone followed up with the Wukong that ended up resulting in a kill for NC State. And you still see this 5-kill deficit here for UCSC. We've got about 2,000 gold lead on the NC State side and a 7-0-2 scoreline for the Rise. 114 CS. A 20 CS lead on this lane, almost most CS in the game, obviously, but we've got a bit of farm fest going on in the top lane.
Yeah, farm fest for both players. Red Feet has not been able to make a significant dent in this lead so far. Does have the full Stride Breaker available, so he should be quite strong in this fight, but Scruffy has a Bramble Vest. So it's not like he's not tanky. It's not like it's going to be easy for Red Feet to get this solo kill. He's just going to clear the wave and probably choose to roam a little bit. Grubs were picked up by NC State as well. All 3 of them going to the way of Let's Try Again. And NC State still a strong lead so far. Feet of Warfare claimed already. 1 dragon in favor of UC Santa Cruz, but a 2nd dragon has spawned. It's a Mountain Drake. And I wonder if NC State's going to choose to make that their next focal point.
Yeah, and with how strong this Rise is, I mean, I have to assume that we're going to go for a fight here, especially if they're already skirmishing, and Rise with a lot of damage drop just from his EQ combo this early. It looks like he may go down, as that's some big CC on the side.
Yeah, it's scary. 3 players here. Slider very strong as well. 1, 1, and 2 picks up the Sundered Sky. This Xin Zhao might become a problem as well, and that's a big shutdown onto him. So a lot of gold swinging in the favor of UC Santa Cruz. They are within 300 gold now. Is now an engage on the Slider. They're in a great spot. Does he manage to stay alive? Pessoa with the knock-up Cyclone will bounce him up in the air. Chef Oreo just left to watch and hope that he can do anything. Serpent Shadow is there to support. Mom popped as well. TP into the mid lane from Keon to support the fight. And Celery Thief will be forced to back off. They'll pop the Mantra E. But no dice. They won't engage any further, and NC State will back off.
Yeah, and sort of just a concession as both jungles dive. However, timer-wise, Wukong's going to be alive first, as you can see already on the dragon again. One silver lining from that bit is that the shutdown off that rise did go to the Xin Zhao. I mean, there was the capability of it ending up there on the way. It was a much, larger damage output, especially in these late-game team fights that NC State's going to be looking to force UCSC into at any turn possible. But we see a bit of a numbers advantage NC State-wise, getting a bit of a pinch there in the river. I wouldn't be surprised if we go for an engage here.
NC State going for the dragon. Looks like they might just burst it down. Let's try again. Will be the one to secure it. Pessoa taken very low, and Slider will actually take him down. A solo kill in the top lane at the same time as Redfeet goes down to the Cassante. NC State gets a dragon, but they get over 2 as well, and Analyze about to get engaged on as well. Will get one back onto Slider, but it doesn't matter. Another kill in favor of Santa Cruz, and it just feels like they are playing the map a little bit better than NC State has so far.
Yeah, and unfortunately for that top 1v1, an early advantage wasn't generated enough specifically for the Olaf matchup, and now that Cassante's got a little bit of armor under him, you see this stack up with the Chain Vest, Bramble Vest, and Ninja Tab Eyes. It's going to be hard to sort of keep any advantage here, especially now that Heal Cut's on. You see a 600 gold lead. I would expect him to come back with a full item. It's going to be hard to recover anything here for Redfeet. However, one thing that we can still look towards is to be damage output on the Varus specifically, on the Hwei specifically. These are two squishy carries here on the UCSC side. No defensive items at all other than Youmu's. However, I wouldn't expect that to be able to outrun. Sometimes with Hwei, you see the tier build, which allows for a little more survivability. You get a shield based off mana and everything, but here with the Deathfire Torch, it's going to be a lot harder here.
I wonder if we could get a stack check on the Smolder, see how Celery Thief is doing on this pick so far. He has 93 CS, so a pretty significant disadvantage over there. He is at 105, so still a ways to go before we get onto that 225 stack real late game carry. And the lane has not been going well for him. The CS is not coming the same way that you would want it to. Pretty significantly behind this Varus, and UC Santa Cruz has actually taken the gold lead back despite the heroics from Analyze in the mid lane. Keon still feeling the brunt of that lead. UC Santa Cruz has fought their way back into this game with a dragon and with 2 towers as well. NC State still yet to take a structure down.
Yeah, when you see 1,000 gold shutdown get dropped, especially in a game where it's an early advantage, but it's really only 2,000 gold. I mean, that's half of a good match. Not up there, as well as get any other kills, any other objectives, kind of bringing it back. One thing we do see is most of the gold here, at least on the UCSC side, is going to be between this Varus and the Cassante. Varus is, of course, a good one to have, but Lethality Varus has about a 3-item hard spike. Once you've got your Mirror Mana, your Youmu's, and then your third item being either the Edge Knight or anything. But after that, it's sort of a plateau that the lethality gold hits. We see it here sort of taking the Rift Herald in the face. However, we still do have the strength of the Rise and everything. But you see a bit of a pinch of Fontaine on the top lane.
Ooh, an engage from Pessoa, flash quickness, and the knockup as well will allow Redfeet to go crazy onto this fight. Slider forced to flash out, he's slowed as well, another knockup, and NC State will get a 1-for-0. They'll lose a turret in the bot lane. Analyze might lose their life, but Chef Oreo doesn't manage to get the root on the Mantra W. NC State come away with a Rift Herald and a kill, lose a tower in the progress. Not a horrible trade if you're UC Santa Cruz, but now with this Rift Herald going down, that should be the first turret for NC State. This blue will get stolen as well, and NC State, I think, a little bit of a good trade.
Yeah, I mean, you'll take that in the end. As you saw, it was a bit of a tower trade with the mid Rift Herald being taken, as well as the bot tower being taken on the split for UCSC's mid laner. However, that is a Rift Herald objective claim, and if nothing else, denied from the side of UCSC, so that they can keep away from this sort of tower snowball that they've got going on. But I mean, and even trading kills in the end, especially, you see the gold is 100 difference. I mean, completely negligible at this point. So it's basically going to come down to comp execution here for a little bit. One thing to note is Smolder, although 225 is the target, 125 is still a very valid spike for being able to spread damage, because you get, an extended pop for the Flame Breath that can sort of spread and hit other players. Still has a bit of a burn effect, as well as it accelerates stack. You can sort of trade on the wave while getting CS, which makes it a lot easier to sort of either come back deficit or accelerate your stacking exponentially.
Yeah, I think 125 has just been hit. You saw the Q explode behind Chef Oreo just now. NC State still has to play around this Rise. It's still a pretty significant gold lead in the hands of Analyze Real. And about a 12 CS lead as well. Redfeet getting engaged on by Scruffy. It's a 1v1 in the top lane, but he does have his ultimate popped as well. All out popped as well. CC immune is Redfeet, and Scruffy taken very low, and Redfeet will be allowed to vamp up off of the minions.
Yeah, and Redfeet's goal here is just going to be kind of kite it out, let the all-out go all the way out, because then Sante pretty much loses all of the damage, and you see this fight extended definitely goes in Redfeet's favor.
Yeah, Q will secure the kill at the end of the day. 4v5 on the map. Dragon just about to spawn. Infernal Drake and Infernal Soul is going to be the soul that we're playing for in this game.
And no
NC
TP
State
to
has to win this fight, I think.
Yeah, definitely have to win this fight. I mean, it's not soul point, it's not soul, it's not any major turn point objective. However, you definitely can't go down with any sort of big swing of a fight of a 4-man loss on the NC State side losing the Dragon. One thing as well, Olaf, you see hitting top turret constantly could get a second top turret here. Because there's no reason walking down with no TP. But I think we're going to see a bit of a smite fight followed up by the engage from NC State here.
Ooh, let's try again. Ignores the Dragon and goes straight onto the backline. Pessoa there to follow up, but let's try again. Completely alone, doesn't have any follow-up whatsoever. Slider secures the Dragon, and NC State loses out on a 1-for-0. There was a top lane turret secured, the inner turret for Redfeet. That's very important, but NC State losing out on the Dragon and a kill. The gold lead starting to swing both ways a little bit, but NC State, thanks to the turret, managed to stay in the lead.
Yeah, and I think that there may have been a little bit of a miscommunication as to what was they were trying to go for there, because you saw the Wukong go on for a full engage on the back lanes, putting every bit of damage that he could in CC on the Varus, all while the rest of NC State is still hitting the Dragon. Seemed to be a little bit of a confusion. As well, it's hard to follow that distance of gap clearing with Wukong. With W being a dash, E being a dash, Cyclone being a speed up, it's hard to maintain or catch up if you're somebody like this Smolder.
Another turret secured by NC State. They're sieging relatively well, and despite UC Santa Cruz going out to an early turret lead, NC State has continued their ability to take down these towers. Inner turrets are about to be threatened for NC State. Dragon not alive for a bit of time, so not a lot of objectives to contest. Baron will spawn relatively soon. Are we going to see a classic Otacon flip from these two North American colleges?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wouldn't be surprised if that's what we ended up at. We're at sort of a spot where I feel that UCSC is going to start to want. I mean, obviously they're still going to want to execute the poke comp, but if you can't get some sort of advantage back from here on, you're kind of just going to get outscaled. I mean, Hui can sort of match in damage, but there's no sort of holding on for the Varus as soon as this Smolder hits 225 stats. As well, you see the Olaf has made a comeback, 2 kills now, 220 CS, 2 items. He's going to be a menace for whatever carry on the UCSC side is, the most relevant to each team fight.
NC State poised towards Slider. He has Keon nearby to try to prevent this engage from happening. Pessoa has been so aggressive on this Rakan, has been going for these engages and trying to find some sort of damage. He'll pop the quickness onto Slider as well. Will he be able to get the kill? Slider, so much sustain, and the Hui damage goes absolutely crazy. Pessoa will go down on the backline as well. It's a horrible fight from NC State. They can't find anything. Analyze still alive, and so is Redfeet, but it's a 3v5 on the map, and Otacon might be theirs for the taking. UC Santa Barbara, or UC Santa Cruz. The Slugs looking poised in these team fights.
Yeah, another, I believe, miscommunication from NC State. You saw that they felt like they had a pick on the Xin Zhao, however, Olaf in the top lane just going hard on the Hui. Just kind of another consideration.
Yeah, Redfeet gonna go down as well. With 5 players alive, there's almost nothing you can do. Analyze looking for something, but will just have to back off with the Realm Warp. Chef Oreo taken very, very low, but Keon, Serpent Shadow, everyone's still allowed to stay alive. And he'll actually flash forward. What a monstrous play to try to make one back. Might go down for it, though. The Varus and the Xin Zhao there to make the trade. Was it a worthwhile 1-for-1 in that scenario? It did buy a little bit of time. Otacon won't go down, but now Slider and Serpent Shadow choosing to engage. And let's try again. Wants to try again. Clearly, Chef Oreo very low. Will go down straight to the Wukong. Slider is ready to fight, and let's try again. Not there to make it happen. Will Celery Thief be able to take one down? Slider so very low. Celery Thief will make it happen. Serpent Shadow will get the trade back. Otacon doesn't go down, but it's still a 3-for-3, and the gold lead swung back into UC Santa Cruz's favor.
And I think in the long run, that's about the best that you could hope for from NC State, being able to pull those 2 kills back. I mean, you saw, like we said, a little bit of a weird communication in the initial scuffle, and then followed up by Annalise being able to get everyone low, sort of just waiting on these timers to get back. Wukong and Smolder able to make it back, get 2 kills. However, one interesting note in the meantime was we saw Rakan use Unsealed Spellbook to get a teleport off to the top lane to try and push in, maybe get a little chip damage on the inhib turret. However, it's still matched by the Cassante and just ended up being, miles away from any fight that he could assist in with NC State.
Yeah, it was a little zealous from Pessoa, but no harm, no foul so far. NC State still on the back foot for a lot of these objectives. Their rotations have not quite been all the way together, and their engages have not been on the same page. So if they manage to call out a perfect engage, Pessoa's engages haven't been bad by any means. He's gotten value off of his abilities. Same thing with Let's Try Again, but NC State just needs to have the damage follow up with them and allow Celery Thief a little bit of time to continue to ramp up. I want to get another stack check at some point relatively soon on this Smolder to see how close he is to that 225 big spike. Shojin and Essence Reaver available for this guy, and now 200 stacks just about for the Smolder means that it is very, very close to the Smolder becoming a problem.
Yeah, we're entering the danger zone here for the Smolder for UCSC. One thing, I mean, we're basically just looking for it. NC State has shown the flair that they can take control of this game and can take control of these fights. It's just a matter of getting on sync. The one thing that we did talk about pregame was that this is a much younger roster. They haven't played together for as long as the UCSC roster, so maybe a little less practice, but they can show that they've still got punches to throw for it.
Yeah, haymakers out the wazoo. This Olaf still can be a big threat. 3 items now for Redfeet, has been farming very effectively. Highest CS in the game for him. Let's Try Again. We'll watch them take the dragon, but Santa Cruz not getting contested whatsoever. They will be allowed soul point in this matchup. Slider going to be the one to secure it. No engage found from NC State. Pessoa and Celery Thief nowhere nearby the fight. The poke's still coming out. A bit of damage from Analyze, but not a full engage. Otacon still on the map. It's possible for either team to try to force this objective down. And NC State kind of looking like they might be looking for it. It'll be a reset from the Karma and from the Cassante of UC Santa Cruz. Teleport coming back from the Cassante. Scruffy going to try to make it happen. There's a flank now from NC State. A lot of pings coming down. There is 3 players here. Are they ready for it? Analyze is there. First kill will go to Let's Try Again. Realm Warp out from Analyze. Let's Try Again. We'll get traded back. Redfeet is there. Celery Thief nowhere to be found. He's on the other side of the wall. Redfeet alone will take the blast cone, but he won't even get a chance. Just has to vamp up as best he can. And NC State goes down in a 2-for-2. Analyze still alive. Scruffy taken very low. 225 stacks achieved for the Smolder. And now it's going to be a problem. The first one, the execute. Oh my god, Scruffy! A monstrous engage back. They're all out doing absolute work. Will Analyze be able to get the kill? Zanya's away from the W. Slider has his cooldowns back. Will Analyze be able to get one? No, he won't! Scruffy! A massive play to turn the fight completely. And despite the low health bars, UC Santa Cruz, the Slugs standing tall.
Yeah, and that's the power of the all-out here on Cassante. The swap is you lose some of the tank stats, but you gain an incredible amount of Omnivamp. I mean, you saw the lower he got there, the harder it was to get him down. Especially with Annalise being able to combo the Rise abilities together, some magic resist you see on the Cassante now. I mean, that was a monster play from Scruffy. You saw multiple knockups, every Q being hit. Everything was able to actually get on the bot lane of NC State. One thing, the Smolder barely outside of the execute range after hitting 225 stacks. And I think we're going to be looking towards hopefully that 4th item for Smolder now that we have so many tank stats on the Cassante. Xin Zhao now looking towards the tank side of the build. We're going to need to see a little bit of stat penetration here for the Smolder.
Teleport in from the Smolder, but he'll get immediately engaged on by the Xin Zhao. Another teleport coming in for Annalise, but that's the main carry getting jumped on by this Xin Zhao. So much damage on Annalise, but Redfeet is running rampant on the back line. Annalise goes down, not quite. Actually, Celery Thief will be the first one to fall, but Redfeet still continuing to make it happen. Let's Try Again with the re-engage. Double kill for Slider on the other side of that. Triple kill alone. Redfeet and Let's Try Again versus Slider, but Slider gets 3. I wish we could get a replay, but we don't have the capabilities for that since we're not paid.
Yeah, a bit of a very interesting split there. I mean, you saw both backlines fighting both dive characters on each side. Xin Zhao trying to hit and ending up getting the better of the Smolder Rise combo due to that healing that he has. You see the Sundered Sky, you see the Sterix Gauge for the big shield, as well as Xin Zhao's passive, giving him a large amount of healing. And then on the other side, like we talked about multiple times, the point of this Olaf is to run down the bot lane. You want to kill the carries, they're weapons.
Yeah, Red Feet versus Slider, and let's try again. Gonna take a little bit of damage. Can Red Feet out heal the Xin Zhao? Yes, he can. Let's try again. We'll dash back in for the kill. And that's kind of the Xin Zhao and the Olaf are playing a very similar role this game. Slider just managed to run down the bot lane, get 3 kills on the squishies of NC State. But if Red Feet is there after taking down the bot lane, I think the Olaf is going to win out on that fight despite the 12 kills that the Xin Zhao has.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we said, Olaf being a counterpick here, a big part is that true damage that Olaf can offer. I mean, it can help get through the Cassante, and like we saw there, can help get through the shields of the Karma, get through everything for the both carries, like very immobile. And only the speed up for Varus, really just a little bit of shielding for the way, and we see NC State starting the Rift, the Atacon here, not the Carol. But a large part, you see the split, Hui's setting up the back here, just TPing in now. Varus still a good ways away, Annalise getting a big chunk on the Karma. It looks like they're just going to have a disengage here with a Rise ult out, or is that a Rise ult in?
Oh, it's a Rise ult out. Rotating over to the mid lane to pick up the wave. Really nice from NC State to find their moment to take that. UC Santa Cruz was just in no position to contest whatsoever. And that's a big swing for NC State. They're going to have a large XP lead thanks to the Otacon. And now these players are going to really start to ramp up. The Smolder Executioner's calling online as well. Anti-heal has been put out. Kanik Rookern for the Xin Zhao is going to be prevented a little bit.
Yeah, and I think
State in a good spot.
I think a major part that we've hit here is I believe this would be the boiling point. Right now you see Soul Point for UCSC, and that's going to be their main window back into as this game continues, is getting that Infernal Soul. I mean, that's a large damage buff for especially a poke comp where it can start to make it AoE, and each individual that spell that you throw in on a cooldown is just a little added damage. You see Smolder already half HP from the Varus.
Yeah, the Varus and the Hui, very scary poke threats. Let's try again, getting chunked out as well. And NC State, they have to make a decision here. Do they engage? Do they back off and do the dragon? It splits, and Red Feet just going to run in. CC immune. Mom popped as well. NC State burns a lot of cooldowns. Let's try again, dashes in as well, and now an engage with Passoa. It's split. It's not good. Slider gonna be allowed to go rampant. Red Feet taken very low. Passoa as well almost goes down. Red Feet continuing to make it back, but the Varus, a double kill for him. Serpent Shadow just getting the free hit onto these players. He'll go very low. The Smolder Execute is there, but not quite. And finally, Passoa goes down and Celery alone. Can he make it happen onto these 3 players? Scruffy is very, very low, but Celery Thief is going to be very threatened. The Xin Zhao will do a lot of damage, and Celery Thief will try to make it back, but look at how much the Xin Zhao has already vamped up. There is nothing the Smolder can do to prevent the Dragon Soul, and NC State, on a really, really, honestly rough engage, will lose out on that huge, huge resources.
Largely just another of what we've seen. The name of this game has been miscommunications. You saw Olaf, use Ragnarok, use Ghost, go in, and then immediately have to turn around as he realizes he's got no follow-up. Immediately after that, you see a following engage where the Wukong goes in, or Rakan goes in, each engage being split, not really having the follow-up that's necessary with your damage sets being Rise, Smolder here. You see Smolder almost able to flip out, but I think a large part of these fights has been the Karma. These Karma shields have been able to save so many players from taking that execute range damage.
Yeah, gold difference still in favor of Annalise in the mid lane, but almost everyone else will have it for UC Santa Cruz. We see actually Red Feet, really nice lead onto Scruffy as well, but it hasn't mattered. It really hasn't. Scruffy, so tanky on this Cassante, has built incredibly efficiently to deal with the damage threats of NC State, and he has not gone down very much at all. 6 deaths for the Xin Zhao, but it really hasn't looked like it. Slider has also been impeccable this game.
Yeah, I mean, you have to keep in mind, this is 12 kills, 12 assists. I mean, 6 deaths, but it's unavoidable when you're playing something like Xin Zhao. The name of your champion is to engage, but you see 24 KP out of 27. I mean, these are insane numbers out of Slider here. I mean, he's been a major part of how they've been able to keep control of this game for so long. Now that they're on Dragon Point, I mean, it's been because of this jungler, been being setting up these objectives, making sure all the sheep are herded and ready to be, at any given objective.
Baron likely the next look for UC Santa Cruz. It'll be a good way for them to take down a couple of these inner turrets. They've been a little slow on their sieges. They have the mid inner turret down, but top lane and bot lane still standing strong for NC State. But the later we go in this game, the more this Smolder becomes a problem as well. Last Whisper now, online, has the armor penetration, and this back should equal Immortal Reminder.
Yeah, I mean, you see every little stack matters. I mean, it enhances the execute range of your Q, it enhances the damage and slow of your W, it enhances the number of individual projectiles coming out of the E. I mean, yeah, 331 stacks, he's well over now. Each stack that you can get is just kind of compounding value here. You see Slider looking to set up here for the for the Baron, and it's looking like we may have a little bit of a standoff going on here. I mean, advantage most of the time is going to stay engaged. We've got Pessoa the catch on Varus.
Oh, perfect from Pessoa! A phenomenal engage from NC State, and this is night and day from what we saw earlier in the game. Keon will have his life taken as well, and NC State, as soon as they get on the same page, as soon as they'll click the go button at the same time, it ends up in a perfect team fight. A 3-for-0 and a Baron for NC State. Super impressive from them. Scruffy and Slider will try to get this mid lane tower, get a consolation prize, but Redfeet is there to stop them. And now Analyze is going to be allowed to push this top lane. NC State has swung the game in a massive way just now.
Yeah, it's just like you said, that mid tower is just a consolation prize. I mean, 3 kills over what was a bit of an overstep by the Varus. You saw with the Karma Shield maybe didn't quite expect how much move speed he was going to get, but overstepped right into the range of Rakan. And I mean, as these immobile ADCs, you just can't be doing that. And Pessoa perfectly capitalized in it, especially with the follow-up from his team. You saw Annalise with the full combo as the Varus just exploded. We get a little bit of a split push on the top side, but not much to do, mostly just to reset and get together. You should see here within the next couple minutes Elder Dragon spawning, which is going to be another major point. I mean, the win percentage for Elder and Baron combined is incredibly high, so NC State, if it's going to be within the timeline, is something that we're really hoping for. And no, we've got a tech issue with a game crash from, I believe, Slider.
Yeah, it looks like we are going to have a quick pause, but let's take stock of the game so far. The gold starting to swing back in NC State's favor after that 3-for-0 in the Baron, and once these turrets go down in the mid, bot, and top lane, it's only going to swing even further. And like we said, this Smolder is really starting to get online. With the Bloodthirster coming up soon, it's going to be a really big problem for UC Santa Cruz to deal with.
Yeah, and as soon as that Bloodthirster's finished, I mean, it doesn't fully negate it, but it certainly mitigates the poke damage coming out of UCSC. You see no anti-heal currently built other than the Cassante, but as long as Smolder is not healing off the Cassante, that won't nerf the Bloodthirster. One thing also noted, this Olaf has a 7,000 gold lead. You see 6 items now, upgraded boots, probably just buying elixirs. One thing to notice that will be a bit of a plateau. I mean, now it's just catch-up time for Cassante, but this Olaf is certainly a threat to both of these characters. I mean, the name of this game is running down the 2 carries, because outside of those 2, I mean, Zinzo obviously has put out a great amount of damage. I mean, Slider is doing everything he can to be that third possible carry. You saw with his 1v3 on the opposite side of the team fight earlier, trying to go in and make something happen right before Baron after what was a bit of an overstep, but it's going to be hard to set up, and we're in a very close game state. I mean, 3,000 gold is a lead, however, at this point in the game, it's not insurmountable by any means.
Game unpaused. We are back into the game, I think,
a little bit of a freeze.
Yeah, I think it's the spectator client
A little
maybe
bit of a
bugging
spectator
out.
client. It could be because of an actual pause with how the spectator works with delays. It could be pushing us out a little bit, but I mean, you see here with Baron, we've got cannon minions hitting a bit. Anything that you can chip off the cannon minions will always be relevant. I mean, long run here, they're non-negligible damage to these towers, and Redfeet's just going to look to keep everything set up here with all 3 players waiting in the wings of the jungle bot side, with Annalise as well pushing them in bot lane.
Yeah, Celery Thief now just about fully online. Just needs the... Wow! What an amount of damage from Analyzing Celery Thief. The Smolder has become a problem. For sure, Slider can only stand for a little bit longer. Another kill The turret going down for NC State. Celery
And the
eats another
execute.
one. And he's going to flash forward onto Scruffy. No regard for human life. The Dragon continuing to move forward. Analyze will take down Keon. And NC State, though it looked rough in the middle of the game, it looked rough in the team fights, it looked rough on the engages, they will hold strong and push into the Nexus Towers.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we have to note and something that everybody has to realize. And you see a Snipe Smolder dead, possibly holding for UCSC.
Oh, it's possible. Scruffy doing so much work, but the Varus will go down. Let's try again. We'll try to push off the Cassante. Scruffy is still
They're just going
alive,
for
but
the
Red
end.
Feet will just go ahead, hit the Nexus, and end the game himself. NC State coming up 1-0 on game number 1.
Yeah, and a good attempted hold there at the end by UCSC, but that's the power of these team fight comps. I mean, no matter how rockety a game can look at any point, I mean, think back going as far to, SKT and everything that they've done in the past with team fight comps. If you can execute and get all 5 ults on what are key players in any way, you saw a pick there on the Karma early, followed up by another pick. I mean, following, it sort of snowballs into it. You can come back as long as all of your damage is dumped on key targets.
As soon as it clicked for NC State, the game was theirs for the taking. Despite the rough engages, something changed. They all got on the same page, and they ended the game very not long after. Don't go anywhere. We're going to go to a quick break as we continue to figure out tech issues in the middle of the league games. Thanks so much for watching. Don't go anywhere, though. Get some water, get some popcorn. We're going to be right back with game number 2. Welcome back, everybody. We're getting right into game number 2. NC State came out on top in match number 1. Draft starting out. I'm gonna cut to the screen right now. Fiora banned away already by UCSC. A classic. Of course, they're gonna ban it. Rengar from NC State. Azir taken away from NC State again, and the Orianna will actually be first round banned from NC State this time around as well.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I mean, Oriana may be a heavily played one from the mid laner for UCSC. However, it is also just a staple across the board. I mean, Oriana can be slotted into so many different comps. Most of the time, going to be team fight compositions and everything. But it's a mid lane staple. It always has been.
Yeah, Yone banned away from UCSC as well. Rengar, a classic, and the Aatrox also taken away. Don't want to have to deal with it without the Fiora in hand. And UCSC not wanting to trifle with Redfeet at all. I wonder if he goes with the Olaf again. Victor, first pick. This is a takeaway from Analyze as well, because despite the Victor ban in the first one, this time UCSC decides, you know what, we don't want to deal with Orianna, but we want this Victor and we don't want to give it to NC State. It is Analyze's most played in solo queue.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, Victor, also on the topic of Victor and Oriana, things like that, mid lane staple. And on top of it, it is stealing away from, a main of NC State. And I would expect for this, and if there's a game 3, fingers crossed for the NC State side that we can take it home 2-0. But a major thing that we're sort of looking for is every game I would expect that Aatrox ban, that Fiora ban, that Yone ban, things like that, just to it's just what's going to come through.
Yeah, Rengar probably not going to be allowed for the rest of the series no matter what. Rakan once again locked in for Pessoa. And despite the struggles that NC State had in game 1 with a lot of their engages, it wasn't because of Pessoa's Rakan. Pessoa's Rakan found a lot of value. And the reason that NC State lost a lot of those fights was because they were just not on the same page when they were engaging. But this Rakan is such a great start to any team fight comp. And the Syndra is going to be a little squishier than the Rise. Probably won't be able to take over as quickly as this Rise did last game. But the Syndra still a powerful pick in the mid lane. Kaisa Knot might be the pick here for the Santa Cruz Slugs.
Kaisa Nautilus is a very, very strong bot lane. I mean, you're low range side, but any hook that hits is a potential kill. Especially, if you have Rakan on the side. I mean, it's a valid counter into the Rakan, because if you can time the hook with Nautilus correctly, you can sort of negate the Rakan abilities, the Rakan engage. Sort of similar to the Alistar, though not as easy. But that's definitely something that I would look out for here.
Very similar draft from NC State so far as they did last game. Zeri actually going to be the pick here. I was going to say Smolder, very dangerous into this draft. Kaisa Knot will absolutely walk all over that pick in the early game. And Kaisa, a pick that can scale up into the late game as well. But Zeri has quite a bit more safety. I don't necessarily love it with the Rakan. I don't think there's quite enough safety for the Zeri to ramp up into the late game. But it's still going to be a lot safer than the Smolder.
Yeah, I definitely think that's an interesting pick overall, but it is definitely still good. I mean, it's another case of like the Smolder. It's not necessarily the greatest peel for this area as you would expect with something like Lulu, Karma, but Rakan can offer late game engage, and as long as Zeri can make it through, sort of weather the storm of that laning phase against Kaisa Knot, I mean, I would definitely look out for Zeri being a large power pick, because Syndra, I mean, not the late game scale and carry that we saw like Rise. It is much more controlled, based on around whether you can get the Cinder ult off on a key carry later in the game.
The only thing
But I do think that it's pretty good for it.
The only thing I'm a little worried about with NC State is their comp is kind of squishy right now. They don't have the chance to really. I don't think Redfeet is going to be the type to play a tank into this draft. Ornn could be pretty powerful, and Bessa banned away. Sion and Olaf have been taken away already from both sides. And I'm predicting that Redfeet will want to be on a carry top laner, whether that be, who knows, like Camille or something else like that. Wukong taken away from Let's Try Again. Engage tools being taken away from NC State as well is probably a smart draft move from UCSC.
Yeah. And if they've done any scouting, that may be the case as well. If NC State's name of the game is going to be the engage comps, then you're going to want to get rid of those major engages like Wukong, Rakan, Galio, things like that. But I mean, we haven't seen all the tools in the toolbox here for NC State. We've seen Zeri so far at Recon, still showing sort of a team fight lean, but Syndra, I mean, this could really go anywhere for NC State. I wouldn't count it out just yet. And obviously, there's plenty more, engaged junglers that we can go down the rabbit hole for.
Yeah, Zinzao locked in for NC State, taking it away from Slider, who had a great game on it last game. He actually kept his team in the game for pretty much the entire time, was probably one of the only reasons that they managed to stay in for that long because of the lead that Analyze had. Pantheon now, another early fighting jungler for UCSC. Slider trying his hand at something with a little bit more agency, and this one will add a little bit of a global presence. The Grand Skyfall can affect fights from so far away and allow Slider to engage from a great distance and maybe get onto the back line with the Zeri and Syndra.
Yeah, I mean, and like we said, with the addition of Pantheon, with taking the Xin Zhao jungle again, I would expect a very, very skirmishy, bloody jungle matchup here. I mean, they're going to be fighting over Scuttlecrabs, contesting both bot and top side. A very good setup that I would like to look out for is the Syndra and Xin Zhao combo here in the mid lane. If Syndra can get a stun off, followed up by Xin Zhao getting the knockup, I mean, it could spell death for any mid laner for UCSC. A major thing as well, Xin Zhao very similar in vein to the Wukong. And like you said, we saw Slider take it and really put in the work with it last game. And I would hope to see Let's Try Again really run away with it again this game with it.
Oh, we saw a Quinn hover from Red Feet that I was honestly quite excited to look at. Quinn is an interesting champion. Honestly, typically is used as a counter pick into Renekton. The ranged top laners get a little bit more safety, and Renekton has a little bit of trouble engaging onto the Quinn in lane, so it won't allow him to be a lane bully. But Jax locked in instead will give NC State a little bit more of that late game insurance and will allow Red Feet to be another carry threat along with the Zeri and Syndra. I think the melee composition, not bad from NC State. They do have a good bit of range, a little bit more range than UCSC does. Victor can have quite a bit of distance between himself and the target that he's damaging, but the Zeri and Syndra not super committal early on. I think this Jax once again going to be the linchpin for NC State.
Yeah, I mean, a big deal. You've got your highest ranked player here, the challenger top laner Red Feet on what is a very common hyper carry in Jax. I mean, Jax can really take over a game, especially with things like Pantheon in the jungle, followed up with a stun. If you can get the Jax dodges off, I mean, it's a lot harder to get caught out, especially there with Kaisa, where a lot of the damage is going to be loaded into that. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to it because this is what I can only assume is going to be a very bloody game that we're looking
I just
towards.
realized you couldn't see the draft again.
It's fine. We just visualize it.
You know what? I'm trolling my co-caster quite a bit either way. But NC State poised to take a 2-0 here if they can execute on this team comp. There's a lot to do for NC State if they want to make it happen. Onto the slugs there. And I do like the draft. I think it builds on what they had in that game number 1 with the strong engage and with the strong team fighting. So as long as they can get themselves onto the same page once again, they will look very, very good. Eyes are on Analyze, on the Syndra, to try to make something happen in the early game versus this Victor, and not to get punished by this Pantheon. They're on Red Feet to become a monster into the late game and try to bully this Renekton, which is no easy task whatsoever in any rank at all. Kaisa not is going to be not easy for the bot lane to deal with, and I think the Nautilus could be a very, very strong disengage and engage tool. And eyes are going to be on Slider again. He has to make something happen.
Yeah, and I would genuinely, I would look for the Nautilus to be a key factor in this game. I mean, this time it's a lot less of a 2 carry facet. It's more of a 3 to 4, and you've got the Xin Zhao and Jax included for NC State side. But a Nautilus hook on Zeri or Syndra is very, very easy way to get them killed, especially with all the follow-up that you have CC-wise being Pantheon, Renekton, a lot of burst damage coming out of Victor and Kaisa. I'm really, looking forward to, excited to see what UCSC can do with this Nautilus, and it's going to be on NC State, to not give them those opportunities.
Yeah, a good bit of CC on the UCSC comp as well. Nautilus just chock full of it. Victor has a little bit built into his kit. Pantheon, point and click stun on the W. Same thing with the Renekton. It's not going to be easy for NC State to peel off these strong melee champions. But Zeri, once again, Celery Thief, struggled a little bit in last game. And
Yeah.
we're looking to see if he's going to be allowed to scale up the same way that he was last game because he became a monster in the late game, but the early game was rough out of the smolder.
Yeah, Celery will be a late game threat, but I do think it's all going to be about weathering the storm. Kai'Sa Nautilus is a lot to worry about. Pantheon is point and click. Zeri can't escape that. So I'm, we're looking for plays to be made out of slider. We're looking for the bot lane for UCSC to sort of take and snowball an advantage because if you can't, Zeri's going to be a demon in the late game.
A lot to think about, a lot to talk about, and a lot of waiting for us to do as we get through the spectator delay. Bans are coming into the tournament client right now. So, well, it's not tournament client, it's a regular league client. The tournament draft is happening as we speak in the game. So, we're going to wait on that to finish out, get us into the spectator client. But until then, I hope you have popcorn ready already. Go watch a YouTube video for about 3 minutes. Cadrill's probably going to be live in 5 hours. So, you got some VODs to catch up on if you're not watching Worlds. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Oh god, we're on a black screen. We're on a black screen.
Surely it'll come back.
There we go. There we go. There we go. We're back in. 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 Preston, you can see the game this time?
Yep, we're good.
Okay, excellent. Our observer can shut off his Discord stream at some point whenever he's ready. But a level 1 play coming in for UC Santa Cruz, looking for some sort of information onto Let's Try Again. Ward coming down as well.
Yeah, I think they need to look for this.
Do anything here?
I think they need to look for this early. Like we said, the power of their team comp is that level 1, level 2 Nautilus hook. We've got the Pantheon stun. We've got Renekton stun, any option, which is going to be a big deal for these early game skirmishes. Just grabbing a bit of vision in the end here, just to get an idea of Let's Try Again's pathing, to see if he's, pathing, as we can see now, what is clearly probably going to be, some bot assistance to try to relieve some of the pain here that Celery Thief's more than likely going to go through here in the first few levels. Yeah,
eyes are going to be on Red Feet on this early game as well. He is in the middle of 2 players here. If Slider chooses to come up and change his pathing, but he's actually just going to trade out. Has I think it's Grasp, so yeah. He's playing for the lane, playing to be able to make something happen onto Scruffy. Keon and Analyze trading once again, but despite how well Analyze traded in game number 1, not being on the rise, this is going to be a very, very different lane for the NC State mid laner. Serpent Shadow and Chef Oreo in the bot lane on this Kaisa Knot, maybe looking for the Zeri early on.
Yeah, and you saw Red Feet sort of trading each time off that Grasp that you mentioned, and that's going to be a big deal. Just getting sort of some health stacking, trying to help beat what is the lane bully that is Renekton. But you see a bit of an engage here, but should just be a short trade. Renekton dashing out easily, not really being at any threat. I would expect the first 2 levels pretty much in every lane to be a little slow. However, I would not be surprised at all if we saw just a hard engage here, level 3 in the bot lane if possible, or a similar option for Red Feet.
Yeah, 100%. CS lead not quite there. Hook onto 1 player. It's Celery Thief taking damage. A reverse from Pessoa, but the damage still going back down onto Celery Thief. Big little trades between each team. And once again, the mid lane trading in favor of Analyze Relay.
Yeah, and it's all about getting these minute advantages at the start. You see a little bit of an invade coming out of UCSC to get all of this is about the vision that they want on Let's Try Again. I mean, you see a ward here on the Gromp and blue buff area, so they're going to know that he's coming through. And you see the Pantheon a little ahead here on his jungle clear. And, NC State doesn't currently have any wards or knowledge based on him, so we could see a bit of a cheeky gank here if he can sort of slide into the Tribush, or at least try to set up for a bit of a fight here with the Zins out.
Oh, really aggressive back and TP in from Red Feet to contest the wave and get a longsword to try to make these trades a little bit more favorable. Analyze looking very good in the mid lane, and Serpent Shadow might be getting engaged on a little bit further. Chef Oreo should have the hook, should have his cooldowns back relatively soon to protect the Kaisa. And the jungler Slider going to be here in the bot lane. Looks like a dive maybe on the cards. Red Feet looking for the trade once again, has the E, will get the stun. And then another auto as well. Grasp proc for this Jax. It's looking good, though, for Scruffy. Another jump back in for Red Feet, as he will finally end off the trade.
Definitely a long trade here. And Scruffy, as you saw there, trying to go back, not being dissuaded by the...
Oh, he's going again! Is he dead?
Red Feet looks like ooh, barely alive via the flash E from Renekton. But a hook connects in the bot lane.
Oh, flashes traded. Celery Thief taken very low. Serpent Shadow will eat a little bit of damage. Now a 2v2 in the mid lane. Slider will go up against Let's Try Again and Analyze, but Keon will also be allowed to keep his life. And Red Feet going for the dive. First blood onto the Jax. That's just a difference in the top lane. Solo Bolo for
and
Red
you saw
Feet.
Red Feet surviving with maybe 20 HP there. Just a sliver of health, but a very, calculated dive there in the end. One thing that we need to look forward to here is you see Flash burnt in the mid lane from Keon earlier from that trade that we got a little dash of. We see both Suns burned for the ADC of NC State, just Flash for Serpent Shadow, but you see punishing this flashless Victor in the mid lane is what they're going for.
Yeah, flash forward from Let's Try Again should be a free kill, and the Zinzao will get credit for it. The CS has gone into the tower for Celery Thief, and they'll be able to keep up this lead. Still, Serpent Shadow leading the charge for the side of UC Santa Cruz in the CS department. But as long as this Zeri can play safe and start to scale up, it shouldn't be a problem.
And you can see UCSC clearly as the game plan that they're trying to push this wave and get a quick back. I would be surprised if they keep this going on as a permanent idea here, seeing as that, being lower range, they can't get the tower harass that they could before with the Varus Karma. However, they want to really accentuate this long lane. You see NC State, they want them to push forward so they can get a a Nautilus hook closer to their tower, and really use that long walk back that they're going to have to try to get away from. But you see Red Feet taking another trade here. Grasp stacks just really coming out for him.
Yeah, Red Feet starting to look like the real lane bully, despite Renekton being on the Summoner's Rift right now. With the double longsword, he is taking such impeccable trades and continuing to bleed this Renekton out of lane. And honestly, the game's kind of over for Scruffy if he's not able to make it back. It's not easy to contest this Jax, and now with a level advantage, level 6, Red Feet can just continue to zone him away from XP and any of the gold that he wants to get.
Yeah, I mean, really, we're just going to be looking towards just these little trades, this little bit of zoning that they can. You see Red Feet going and trying to accentuate this level advantage he's got. Push Scruffy out of XP range without, exposing. You see Ward drop there in the Pixel Brush, but he's going in again. If he can get the stun off, I mean, unless this is a full kill.
Yeah, Red Feet not choosing to commit. I like that. Scruffy taken very, very low. No teleport, no flash, no nothing. The push will come back in, so the tower is going to crash, but I think that means Red Feet might try to go for a dive. And look at Slider's position. He is in no space whatsoever to try to help out this Renekton Scruffy on an island of his own, and I'm thinking we might see a dive in the top lane.
Yeah, Red Feet has flashed up, so I would be surprised if he didn't go for it. Though you do see Scruffy just finally getting level 6. I don't know if he'll go for it now because that, Dominus is a rather big health increase. You can see him really baiting for these autos.
Pulls out the Counter-Strike as well. Now Root onto Celery Thief. Pessoa will dash back for the shield. Engage onto Serpent Shadow, but nothing lands. It's really bad for the NC State bot lane. Flash forward from Chef Oreo. Celery Thief will go over the wall, and Pessoa will be allowed to stay alive, but that's a lot of sums blown. The NC State support down a flash now.
Yeah, and that's the power of Zeri is that she can escape there over the wall, but Pessoa, they got the little engage there, but that's what it is. It's that counter engage. Nautilus is a lockdown support. If you hit 1 CC, you're going to hit 3 more after that. And, with Kaisa having a lot of single target damage with her passive.
Celery Thief with her ult. Will he find the one? Yes, he will. Serpent Shadow going down as well. 2 for 1. The NC State AD carry starting off much stronger than he did last game. And a botched dive for the UCSC Slugs bot lane.
And it's Cinnamon in the bot lane for NC State.
Oh my god.
You're looking at a top lane kill as well, though traded back possibly by the jungler. Oh, and another kill in the mid lane. Let Dragon gonna go down to the tower on a 1-for-1. However, this game is slowly slipping away from UCSC. I mean, 2-6 here. They've got a dragon, but each lane you can see in these trades is taking advantage. They're winning the trades 1v1. All of their kills have come from a comeback, and that botch dive is really going to swing the advantage here for this area.
Yeah, Slider has still been excellent over the course of the series so far. His objective control has been impeccable. NC State not been able to contest objectives in the early game. They got the grubs last game, but it was because Red Feet had gotten such a large lead in the top lane, he was allowed to walk down and Analyze was just a force in the mid lane. But this game, Dragon will go down for UC Santa Cruz, but it almost doesn't matter. 1 Cloud Drake for 6 kills, and a lot of them solo kills for NC State. Analyze continuing to bully out Keon, has the ult available, and Keon will be taken very low. Will he manage to stay alive? Keon gets to live another day. Analyze won't go any further. There's Slider to support the mid lane.
Yeah, ever so barely alive there. I mean, a lot of living by these slivers of health, but Analyze is just hopefully going to be able to walk it off to stay alive.
Here in the bot lane, Celery Thief pops his ultimate as well. He'll move forward. The hook lands onto Pessoa. Serpent Shadow, do you have enough damage to make this happen? Knock up. Beautiful ultimate from Serpent Shadow to take down Celery Thief. A 2v2 in the bot lane goes the way of UCSC, and it's impeccably played by the Kaisa.
And that's, I mean, you need that to happen. These are the moments under the lights here that you need the comeback. I mean, you're down 4 kills. It's not the end of the game, but these are heavy advantages starting them out. And, you can see that they're not faltering. They're not wavering. They will still take these fights because they know to play to their advantages.
Yeah, we're talking about these advantages for NC State, but I want to look at the bot lane really quickly. Yuntal already purchased for the Zeri, but look at the CS lead, 94-68. Serpent Shadow flexing his muscles over this bot
800
lane.
gold up this early.
Yeah, 3-1-0 for the Kai'Sa. That could be a very, very scary snowball. With Redfeet being as strong as he is, it might not be that big of a problem for NC State, but this Kai'Sa could become a very strong force into the mid and late game.
Yeah, and you do see a 2-level lead for Redfeet in the top lane, and this is one of the worries for Renekton, is he is a lane bully, but he's very all-in on lane bully. If you can't take the advantage, they can sort of whittle you out, keep you out of XP range as soon as they start taking anything, so... But Chef Wario, I believe, looking for an engage here, baiting the hook. Yep. Flash burnt by Celery Thief. That was. They know it's a dangerous game down the bot lane with Kai'Sa having Kraken Slayer finished. Celery Thief, has barrier to save, but I'm not sure that she can survive this damage.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy for the NC State bot lane, while the rest of the map in favor of the Wolfpack. The rest of them, as Tucker giving me a little bit of a shout. Shout out to Preston's dog.
But yeah, a little bark in the background, but...
W onto Celery Thief. Will they look for anything more? Actually, an engage from Pessoa. It's not great. He'll get knocked up as well. Let's Try Again is in the area to try to make it happen. Chef Oreo slowed down. Celery Thief has popped his ultimate already, but they'll just back off and disengage, and that's wasted time for the NC State jungler.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a hard engage to pull there. I mean, they're close to your tower, but after Pessoa goes down that low, Zeri only on one item isn't really able to spread damage with her ult at the moment with no Runeon's Hurricane or anything, and Let's Try Again was not quite in range to be able to help much. You can see Redfeet finally taking advantage. Once you get this ahead on Jax, it is time to proxy. You take the wave behind the tower, you walk up, take the tower plate, but you gotta fight.
Getting engaged on the ult forward from Serpent Shadow. Beautiful from the Kai'Sa once again. Will allow a little bit of damage back, but Redfeet, teleport available, will go onto Slider. The Jax could secure another kill here, and despite the Kai'Sa getting the 4-1-0 for Serpent Shadow, Jax getting one back does not feel good either.
Yeah, I mean, at one point in the end there, we're able to get Dragon. However, you can see top lane. Just a little bit of, the gas pulled up off of Scruffy. He's going to take his time now to try and get a tower plate back, try to get some more XP, try to, not fully be able to come back, but just mitigate the losses that he's taking. You see Annalise rotating up to try to catch the wave, get him off the turret for the time, because you see Victor taking a back timing. I would be careful if I were Annalise, because although he's behind, Renekton is still not a champion that you want to be 1v1ing as a caster.
Yeah, not a full item available just yet for the Renekton, so he does have a little bit less threat, but Chef Oreo here as well means that there's a lot of CC. If a hook lands onto Analyze, it could be very good, and now the Grand Skyfall as well. Analyze has taken the wrong path into this top lane, and he'll go down right away. NC State misstepping just a little bit. Mid lane is the focus for them, but what will they get off of wasting all this time in the top lane? It's probably just going to be a Scuttle Crab.
Yeah, and this is what we're saying with this comp. That is a lot of follow-up single target CC. You see Pantheon stunned, you see Renekton stunned, you see Nautilus. So if one of those connect, and it means that the following subsequent ones will always connect, and that is almost guaranteed death for no matter the champion until they can get to this 3-item spark, 3-item mark where the Xin Zhao may have Asterix, or Jax also may have Asterix. Until then, these are theoretically squishy champions in these scenarios.
Redfeet flexing his muscles once again. Slider is here to try to make it happen. Pops the ult, does the Dominus, Conqueror proc as well. But Redfeet, a monstrous play, will get one back. And Keon cannot stand up to Let's Try Again and Analyze. Another one maybe for Redfeet. The Triforce Jax just ridiculously strong at this point in the game already.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure everybody that's played League has seen the Jackson solo queue take over, and it's looking like one of those games for Redfeet as he gets another kill.
Yeah, trade back. We'll get the shutdown gold as well, about 300 back into the pocket of Slider. But look at this lead, almost 2.5k for the Jax over this Renekton. Despite the Kai'Sa being very strong, getting engaged on a great one from the side of Pessoa, but the trade back finally. One will go down, and then we'll get to supportal combat, and neither of these two is going to have any sort of kill threat whatsoever. The first kill went to the side of Celery Thief, so at least he got the XP for it.
And that's one issue that you sort of... Oh, and Annalise with a free solo kill, and that's the power of Syndra. That is that ult. That is that execute. And Annalise taking it. Gonna move forward, take a little bit of CS and hopefully escape the Renekton here. Should be able to just walk away, of course, with the Dispel. And one thing noting the bot lane, like you said, Zeri was able to get the kill first, but it's only extended that long because the downside of Zeri is that her auto attacks are skill shots. If you paid attention to that fight, a few went a little wide when trying to target the Kai'Sa.
A little bit of warming up to do for Celery Thief. It is a different skill set from playing a traditional AD carry, so let's see if he's able to ramp up throughout the game. Rift Herald is the target now for Let's Try Again and his mid laner, as Red Feet will be 1v2 in the bot lane, but not scared of them at all. Rift Herald will go down to NC State. Let's Try Again will pick up the buff, and we'll see where they use it, probably usually as the mid lane.
Yeah, and NC State able to take the Rift Herald there because, as we saw, Chief Chef Wario was down in the bot lane just trying to help keep Scruffy from getting dove again. I mean, almost 3 levels up for Red Feet. Scruffy needs assistance in these scenarios, and that pulls a man away from whatever side of the map there are these objectives on. So you want to keep this Jack Split Pusher on the opposite side of the map with this TP up. And it looks like we may have another fight coming, though W goes a little wide.
Yeah, let's try again and analyze. Looking in the top lane, Pessoa is here with the engage. Does he land the W? Yes, he does. Chef Oreo going to be the first one to go down. And Serpent Shadow can only watch as his support gets picked off. Really nice bait from Analyze and really nice use of the cooldowns from Let's Try Again and Pessoa to secure that kill.
And killing the end there does actually end up going to Celery Thief, which is a big swing. You want the gold on these carries. In that case, Xin Zhao, we've seen have a monster game last game, can be that carry, but nothing is like that ADC.
Oh, dive down.
May go down.
Oh my god, flash forward from Serpent Shadow. Controlled aggression from the Kai'Sa, and Analyze just steps a little bit far forward. For UC Santa Cruz, the only bright light of this game so far has been Serpent Shadow.
Yeah, and I mean, post-draft, this is what we were looking for this game. This is that bloodbath that we were talking about. You see an engage pick comp on the side of UCSC. You see all of these bruiser threats on the side of NC State with Syndra able to follow up. Now already 9-13. That's 22 kills in 17 minutes. We're averaging over a kill a minute so far. And it's only going to get bloodier from here. I mean, these teams, the name of this game is skirmishing, is fighting. They want to take these advantages from one another, and it's not going to be possible with comps like these outside of the scaling options of Jax, Victor, and then obviously both ADCs. But everything else you want to fight, and here, like I said, we've got another one.
Oh, engage from Let's Try Again will burn the W from the side of the Pantheon. Slider will not go down, but he will be taken very
wide.
low. Analyze, forced to flash away, and now a team fight. Red Feet teleporting in. Chef Oreo left alone in the back line. Scruffy will go down first to Celery Thief, and then one more. Red Feet will get the credit for the second one. Should be a free Hex Tech Drake for the NC State Wolfpack.
You have 2 kills and sequentially a dragon. I like obviously not Dragon Soul at this point, but still a big advantage. That's increased move speed, that's increased cooldown and everything. So almost dies to the Kai'Sa damage, and that's the single target damage. You have to be careful overstepping, but Celery Thief not afraid.
Yeah, a lot of safety on this Zeri still with the Syndra in his back pocket, and now Serpent Shadow kind of in a rough spot, but we've seen how strong this Kai'Sa is. If he manages to not get any sort of reinforcement, Celery Thief could just go down directly to the Kai'Sa. I wonder if he still has Flash available though.
Yeah, Celery Thief does not want this fight right now. I mean, Kai'Sa's already bridged the 2-item spike, has the Gwynsu's, which is a lot of that single target damage. Zeri hasn't quite taken the Rune-ins, but that's team fight power. That's ult power. That's not power for the 1v1. Zeri doesn't, you're not going to want to take these 1v1s until you can get something like an Infinity Edge in your pocket, something that allows for more of that crit front-end damage.
Red Feet about to get collapsed on. Chef Oreo behind him, but Red Feet is incredibly strong. Slider is there as well. Does Red Feet manage to go down here? Kai'Sa's here as well, but he's just going to flash back underneath the tower. Keon engaging on the Analyze in the bot lane as well. There could be a dive here. No Storm from the Victor. Analyze going very low, and Keon will actually flash forward to find it, and then a dive in the top lane about to happen. Red Feet about to go down. A really great cross-map play. Ult pop from Red Feet. Can he find one back? No, he cannot. Scruffy will stay alive, and a really, really big swing from UCSC. Keon went down in the bot lane. That'll be the bot lane turret as well with the Rift Herald. So we'll see if they manage to get an inner turret on top of that. But NC State losing their top laner, gaining quite a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard one to live for the top laner. Red Feet, not really going to be livable in a 4-man scenario there unless, there's a miracle that happens. But on the other side, in the end, it's a 2-for-1 because of that, aggressive play from the mid laner of UCSC. But we see another fight, like we said, a bloodbath game we've got here with the Zinzel holding off.
Now, knockup from Pessoa will just delay the inevitable, as Let's Try Again will also go down, and that should be Otacon going to the side of the Slug. Serpent Shadow just going to melt it down. We'll see if Analyze and Celery Thief want to try to contest as Red Feet is running down as well. There is a possibility. Stun coming forward. The Otacon very low, and it'll get secured by Slider, but Red Feet still wants to step forward.
Yeah, Kill gotten back. Red Feet knows his power here. He's on a 2-item spike. All these players are, half HP or so. If he can get in there with, the Jax Eon and get a good stun on 1, 2, 3 players, he can definitely look for a kill.
Yeah, despite losing out on the fight and being down a man, NC State still feeling comfortable walking forward this far, and it just proves to show how strong this Jax is.
Yeah, I mean, this Jax is going to be a raid boss here within 1 to 2 items. You see, already working on the Zanyas to be able to survive any burst that they have to throw at him. Try and mistime anything with the Nautilus hook to stay alive. He's looking to be this carry powerhouse, and that is a full 3,000 gold lead. Only a 1,000 gold lead for NC State, but, it's entirely on this Jax.
It's actually only because of this Jax. The rest of the team kind of falling behind. Still, Serpent Shadow very strong, about 40 CS up on his counterpart, Celery Thief. 6 kills to the Zeri, but falling behind in minion kills is not something that you want to be doing at this level of play. Still, a bit of a lead for Slider as well. Let's Try Again has not had the same level of success that Slider did in this series so far. 5-2-0 on the Pantheon. Over there, he has had a great series so far.
Yeah, you see Slider sort of had the great series, like you said, has had the upper hand in this jungle matchup here. The Wukong game, last game was still good, holding 0-7 for a long time and still being able to have those impactful plays. But Slider is looking to be this powerhouse of his team, looking to have these carry games, 5-2 right now on the Pantheon. And a lot of that's going to be early game front-end loaded damage. However, if they can get a pick on any of these, consequential characters on the NC State side, then that's really what they're going to be looking for.
A lot of pressure on this Jax still. He is an absolute raid boss. Has the steel caps, is very tanky, and does a lot of damage. He is kind of just a big ball of let me do everything for the team. So whenever these fights happen around objectives, as long as Red Feet is there, NC State should have a pretty significant advantage. The Zeri, despite being behind, is still very strong and is still able to pump out a lot of damage if the auto attacks land. And now, Syndra, with Cosmic Drive online as well, is looking to one-shot somebody.
Yeah, and you see working on what is presumably a Rabadon's death cap, and that's just going to spell death for that Kai'Sa. I mean, really, that's probably what she's targeting in this case. Kai'Sa's low range needs to be in your face, and to get any damage in, it has to walk up into the range of, Red Feet with his Q. Syndra hitting any ability stun combo. She's got to get close, and that's a scary game to be playing.
And jump forward from Red Eye to try to make something happen onto the team. And now Pessoa popping the quickness. Kai'Sa will manage to flash out. Serpent Shadow gets to stay a little safe, but Chef Oreo will be the sacrificial lamb. Serpent Shadow gets to keep his life, but Chef Oreo does not.
And on the side of UCSC, I mean, that's not the worst thing to have. You go a man down for what's clearly about to be a dragon take. But you have Scruffy pushing on the top side, getting a little bit of his advantage back, trying to claw back where he can. But in the end, it is going to be a dragon with a kill traded over to NC State. And not what you want to see here from the side of UCSC. No Miracle Steel going in for Slider. A TP down with the Jackson. They want more.
Oh, Keon very low. Analyze will get credit for the kill. And Serpent Shadow can only watch as his team crumbles around him. NC State, despite this Kai'Sa being that strong, is not phased in the slightest and is willing to go for these engages.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, on the side of UCSC, they just need to be happy right now that there's no Baron to be taken. Because honestly, with how close they were in time there, taking down the Victor, as well as the damage that they have front-loaded now with this Jax in this area, I mean, it's a worry. I mean, any given 1 or 2 kills can easily snowball to a Baron and easily fall through with the game.
NC State poised to take it. They are up about 2.5K and the gold lead. A lot of it's still on Red Feet, and he's in the bot lane right now. So NC State going to reset, buy up a couple of items. You see, I don't even know what it's called on the Jackson, the Zinzao, but a third item for both of these two bruisers for NC State. Deathcap almost ready for Analyze as well, and we saw the damage come out from him already onto the Victor.
Yeah, no, the upgraded boots are coming out now where they know that they can hold these advantages, specifically the defensive boots. That's the kind of, not exactly a talking point, but whenever you're on the winning side, the upgraded boots for the defensive boots being, the Seeker's Arm Guards, the Mercury's Treads are going to be a big deal because you get a bonus, basically a little shield for that type of damage. And you see, if you look down the comp, top to bottom of the UCSC side, top side is fully AD reliant. Kaisa is going to be more AP leaning, but still a good amount of AD damage built into the Q, built into her auto attacks being an ADC. So, a lot of value here to be gotten.
Pessoa walking forward. His engages have led the team to victory so far today. Redfeet challenging Scruffy will just bump down the tower and engage on the Chef Oreo. The Nautilus caught out once again. They won't get the damage down, and let's try again. We'll be forced to pop the Crescent Strike. Serpent Shadow pops his own ultimate as well, but no kills found. Redfeet will just continue to dive onto Scruffy. The Renekton just not having any fun. Still only an item and a half for him. Peon will go down to analyze, and Pessoa almost gets a trade back, but no dice for him. Slider only sitting and watching, and Redfeet will ward hop right out of the base, and that's quite a bit taken by NC State. Redfeet, no mana to try to fight this, and he'll pop the Zanyas, but this looks like it's going to be a kill. Serpent Shadow will get the credit, but Baron started up by NC State immediately, and I wonder if they're just going to be able to burn it down.
Yeah, I mean, no mana for the side of Redfeet. There's no escaping that one, but he does burn a lot of time. That is the key here. Pantheon's still a good ways away. I don't think White Null range, clearly not even moving now, and that's a Baron for NC State. That's a 1,500 gold injection. That's tower siege power. You see mid lane still up, bot lane up, and obviously Jax is the full powerhouse on the split push. Hopefully, I mean, I would expect to see they send Jax top lane here to try to get that second tier turret, and then they just hold this mid siege as soon as they can get cannon minions in, whittling away at this tower slowly. That's a huge advantage netted for the NC State side.
4.5k gold lead on Jax alone. Redfeet solely carrying this game. The split pushes have been impossible for UCSC to deal with as he comes back onto the Rift. And it's really rare to see a Baron taken before mid lane tier 1, but NC State clearly have a different idea of macro than I do.
Yeah, I mean, they've got their game plan, and that's what they're trying to go for here. You want to create, you want to be able to criticize and put in your own ideas, but in the end, it's up to the team and how they want to execute. You see Jax here headed towards the top side. Syndra, grabbing a few waves here, and they don't want to all in on the 4-1, 4 players in the mid lane because they still are a little weary going into these team fights without their powerhouse Jax. But Syndra can just keep grabbing a little bit of waves. Grabbing a little bit of CS here and there. They can have Zeri sort of hold the wave with his with her Runehands. That's just going to be sort of a whole.
Oh my god, he ulted in? What is this? From Serpent Shadow, he'll get the 1-for-1, finds it back, and now an ult under the mid lane tower. Slider completely alone. UCSC is tossing the game away.
Yeah, I don't want to flame, but that was a hero play for sure. Kaisa obviously wanting to trade for the shutdown there. I don't believe she had a shutdown on herself there, thinking, this 1-for-1's fine, we're sort of at a point, but you have to remember, NC State has Baron. These 1-for-1s are not what you're looking for here. They still have this Jax. Pantheon dead too. I mean, I would be surprised if this isn't a full inhib, if not two.
Yeah, Redfeet gonna dive underneath the tower. Chef Oreo will go down as well, and there's nothing UCSC can do. An attempt at a flip play from Slider and from Serpent Shadow does not work out, and NC State gonna walk it down onto the Nexus turrets.
Yeah, 5 seconds on Kaisa, 12 seconds on Pantheon. They're leaning they want to, but Victor Ult obviously a great wave clear tool to have, and they know they've got Dragon Spawn now. They can go for this soul, and that should guarantee the game as long as they execute from here on out.
Yeah, Chef Oreo still 14 seconds on his respawn timer, and this dragon will burn down very quickly. The Zeri not lacking in the damage department whatsoever, and Hextech Soul secured by NC State as they will continue to put their mark on the CLOL warm-up game.
Yeah, and this Hextech Soul, honestly, I mean, I don't want to overwrite it as too big of a deal, but when you have champions like Syndra, where her Q isn't necessarily a CC, but this gives that static shiv effect that applies a slow to anybody that it hits, that adds chase down capability. Zeri hits a random W, hits a random auto attack on a minion, procs it, they get a slow, and then they send it. They have the Xin Zhao engage, they have the Jax engage, they have the Rakan engage with Sorelia's. They have the tools now that, I mean, I would be afraid to step out of my base if I was on the side of UCSC.
Yeah, the game was a lot closer about a minute ago until that play in the mid lane, and now NC State has completely blown it wide open. Hextech Soul, all they have to do is walk down the minion waves and continue to siege safely, and they will end up winning this game eventually. A lot of pressure still on Serpent Shadow. He is still very strong, 7, 3, and 4 on the Kaisa. I think 4 items available now for him.
2K
But he
gold
does have
lead
to
here on
deal with
Celery.
the Jax is a problem.
Absolutely, yeah, and that is a problem here. The benefit of AP Kaisa is that you do have some W-loaded damage as well as your passive, but you can't stack the passive once Jack's thrown his E up.
Yeah, 100%. 0, 6, and 4. Scruffy has not been having a fun time this game whatsoever. Red Feet has had his way in the top lane, and he is continuing to pressure off 2 players. Almost full build is this Jax. 4 items, well actually 3.5 with the Haunting guys now. Can probably reset for another item at some point, but he's choosing to continue pressuring, and NC State pressuring the top lane. They took the inner tower not that long ago, and Red Feet just engaging onto Scruffy still underneath the tower. Slider is there to support, but Red Feet just so unbelievably strong with the Sun and Sky.
Yeah, and you see the split here, honestly, with the Haunting guys built to get a bit more of an AP Bruiser build
flash
here
forward.
for Jax.
Oh, Keon just absolutely blows up. Grand Skyfall into the backline as well. Celery Thief not in a good spot to make anything happen, and he will go down, but the rest of the team still there, and Red Feet ignoring the team fight completely, just going on a Scruffy, taking the tower. I don't know if this is a mistake from NC State. It might actually be. Scruffy will get his first kill of the game, and NC State oversteps a little bit.
Yeah, they trade for the Xayah, but Zarya, you still have to be careful with Nautilus available. You saw her dive in and immediately just get CC locked into all of the damage that they could dump with the Kaisa. I would expect that they're able to walk it off here because of the Hextech Soul as well as, the Recon escapability and the Syndra pushback. But, 2 towers taken in the end. NC State's probably not too mad, 3 for 1, however, 2 inhibs are now opened up. Really, they just need one more solid push, and I believe that'll be the game.
Yeah, Void Staff now online for the Syndra. Analyze is going to one-shot Serpent if he walks up at all. There's 0 defensive investment from the Kaisa. Full damage from Serpent Shadow. He is all or nothing with this build.
Yeah, he knows what his duty is here, and that is to deal that damage. You see Victor behind 2 and 8 having a rough game, Renekton 1 and 6 having a rough game. The Pantheon is not a late game damage threat, so it's really, they understand that is on them. That is, like you see, and like the Observer is showing us, it's a 4,000 gold lead over Celery for the Kaisa. He knows that is his duty, and he has to be the carry. One timer to note, Baron has just spawned. NC State clearly posturing toward it. UCSC understanding that if this Baron goes down, this game ends for them.
Oh, NC State baiting out for this Baron, standing in the brushes, control wards well placed. Does UCSC engage too early? Do they walk up a little bit too far? Red Feet going in onto Scruffy, but nothing available just yet. They'll just get some chunk damage and push back the team. Serpent Shadow will take a little bit of damage as well, and NC State not committing. Really, really smart play to chunk them out and then go straight for the Baron. Analyze might be tested, but they actually chunk out the Kaisa quite a bit, and that's the entire carry for UCSC. Completely taken away. Slider maybe going for a hero steal, but he doesn't even get the opportunity. Jax will engage onto him, and now NC State going for a team fight. Pessoa onto Scruffy, and he will go down. Red Feet, 4-man stun with the counter-strike, will continue his way forward. Serpent Shadow very low. Celery Thief, both kills onto the Zeri. Keon can only sit and watch as his team falls around him. A triple kill for the Syndra. And NC State with the soul. GG's already called in the chat. Baron alive. Inhibitor will go down, and NC State can just walk it in. 25 seconds left onto Scruffy, and what can this Renekton do? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and that's what we were looking at. Baron, like I said, in the end, is going to be what decides the game. Not in the form of being taken, but in starting that team fight. This is a great execution by NC State. Really holding an advantage throughout the whole thing. An unfortunate game out of the mid and top for UCSC, but at large, you saw NC State. They knew what their game plan was, and they stuck to it. They executed.
Beautifully played by NC State. Our first game of the semester ends up as a 2-0 sweep. Well played to Red Feet and the rest of the team. My MVP for the day probably goes to Analyze. I think the mid lane was just an absolute rock for NC State. He was monstrous on the rise, really allowed them an early advantage that let Celery Thief scale up into the late game in that match number 1. And then game 2 on the Syndra, just sniping people out with the E, making sure that he could burst down the high priority targets. It was beautiful from the NC State mid laner.
Yeah, I would agree. I think you have to give it to Analyze there for the MVP in the end. The only one coming close possibly is honestly Pessoa. He had a lot of very key engages. It's always hard to give it out to a support and everything, but you have to recognize when these engages matter. And Pessoa really had an eye for when he knew his team needed to go in. But yeah, no, Analyze really with a real wonderful rocker of a game on the rise, like we saw 7-0 at one point, even continuing then able to blow up and deal massive damage in the team fights. And that Syndra, I mean, the picks and control that they had on the mid lane was not something to scoff at. Maybe something that collegiate teams in the future will look out for.
Wow, 43k damage on Analyze's Syndra. Absolutely monstrous. 10, 3, and 8. 6.0 KDA. Just absolutely cooking. Highest gold in the game as well, aside from Serpent Shadow, who, despite the losses, had a great game on the Kaisa.
Yeah, I mean, great game on the Kaisa there, and obviously both losses. But, these teams, it's the first game of the semester. Even if they played together before, they know that they have to look forward. And I'd say that there are some bright lights that you can look at. Slider having 2 great games out, especially in those early games, really able to take control. The Zinzao performance, I mean, honestly, you could give him an MVP on his team for that one alone. But then, obviously, like we said, that Kaisa performance after knowing that you have to glass cannon, knowing that you have to have that mentality that you are going to be the channel to win this game if you're going to.
NC State coming out on top versus UCSC Slugs Gaming. Thank you guys so much for watching. It has been wonderful. I am so excited that we finally get to bring League of Legends to the esports at NC State stream. Thank you all so much for watching. We're going to be back next weekend, hopefully with a couple of new casters as well. One of them is our observer right now. Shout out to Kian, our observer for today, who is
huge shout outs.
Kian, our observer for the day, who was wonderful. Absolutely great work on the observing as we were figuring things out. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to be back very soon. Valorant's coming up tomorrow, and I believe we have a Rainbow Six stream coming up tomorrow as well. So keep it locked in here at NC State. Follow the channel, and have a great night, everyone.